All right, yo,
Oh boy.
hey, it's Anime Parley. It's your boy. It's Killer Cam. I'll let the rest of the
What
crew
up?
introduce themselves.
Peace and blessings, y'all. It's Mr. Wild and Free back once again.
Boy, Bash, catch him in the place to be. Let's go.
Yo, okay, all right. Um, I know you saw the thumbnail. Hopefully, you're watching up to this point and not just immediately down voting or disliking this. We have an interesting argument here. Obviously, Sabo is a contentious issue. Some people are going to agree with us and be like, yeah, Sabo, like, I don't know, like he's obviously kind of stealing valor from Ace, which he is. Then there's gonna be some of you who are just like, dude, I'm Sabo, ride or die. Sabo's the shit. Like he has the mirror no me. He is the inheritor of Ace's will. Don't speak on my boy. And to you, I say, fuck off. I'm just kidding. We
Say.
we'll get into it. I mean, it is one of those things where it's like, okay, I'll just put out. I would assume this is kind of like the general position of the group, but it's like Sabo is cool. He's got a cool character design. It's good that somebody inherited the Mirror no Me. That's like a friendly, basically. And he has his own kind of unique power set of as far as like a little dragon claw, whatever. Even though every time I see his hands, I'm like, that looks so painful.
Uncomfortable.
Like, yeah, just like it looks so
Maybe, yeah.
weird. But that being said, I
A
mean,
talon, dragon talon or
yeah,
something.
there are obvious issues, and I'll be honest. This is less dunking on Sabo as much as it's dunking on Oda. This is a larger conversation about deaths in One Piece, and Oda really
Right. Yeah.
not committing, not going all the way. He tends to backtrack, whether it's bringing them back to life or, in obviously Sabo's case, reincarnating the main character that you just killed off within literally like I don't know, like 10 chapters of his death, to basically introduce his replacement. And it's kind of funny because there actually is an argument where it's like the famous sake cups. I mean, I do think there is some truth to like it does look like in that like a third sake cup is cut, and there is like specifically the sound effects of a third like drip drop whatever like the
Hmm.
little onomatopoeia that they use. So, anyways, that's basically it. We will get into this, but I want to get everybody else's thoughts real quick. Sabo. Do you love him? Do you hate him? Do you feel like he is kind of a wrench that gets thrown in the story? And we'll talk about the plot holes that he creates.
Hmm.
Or do you even care? You're just like, dude, it's the Merriman of me. This dude's cool. He's got a pipe that he sometimes uses, and he looks like a Cockney British, like vagabond.
That's hilarious. Not a vagabond. He looks
Yeah,
at least of somebody of class.
he's a scamp. He looks like a
It's
scamp.
like that's hilarious. Nah, y'all look wild. And I'll
Sabo
say
hate is wild.
the Sabo hate is OP on this one. But I'll say that I genuinely enjoy Sabo as a character. Um, I do agree with some of your sentiments in regards to he did kind of come in as a spiritual successor to Ace, right? And so I can acknowledge that and say, all right, well, um, yes, that exists, but it doesn't take away from me his presence in the show, what he means for the plot development, like how significant his role is as the upstart to the Revolutionary Army. Because without him, we wouldn't have that. We wouldn't really see um, the presence of the next generation of the revolutionaries, right? Because I think that in each one of the factions, we have some representation of the previous generation, right? Except for Dragon is in that middle era. He
Yeah,
kind
I
of
was gonna say.
exists
I
in
mean,
that space between heralding the revolutionaries of present day One Piece and handing off that gauntlet, right? But we have
what?
seen that gauntlet handed off for the army, for the
Yeah.
military, and we've seen that gauntlet handed off for the pirates. Sabo represents that for the revolutionaries. And I think that that representation is important to the story
Uh,
and his role as things unfold from here.
okay, I'm glad you mentioned Dragon. I honestly feel like Sabo is just stealing the shine, and I don't like it. And I'm just not even gonna just stand for it, dude. Because it's like
Yeah.
Dragon's a young man. Dragon's not that old. I think Dragon. I mean, I'll look it up. I think he's like in his 40s or something like that. He's not that old, right? So it's
We're
like this
feeling
idea.
personally
This
attacked.
I this idea that he's like passing off the torch to like the next generation. It's like, bro, this is his generation, dude. He
I'm
started
still
this
in my
stuff. He
prime.
started the Revolutionary Army. He started this from
Still in
jump. He needs to be the person to defeat Emu, in my opinion, and really kind of I don't know. I mean, like to be honest, like free the world. Like and it's definitely not gonna be Sabo. If anybody, it'd be Luffy. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, I just feel like Sabo gets introduced. He's got way too much importance. I mean, this dude is like the Flame Emperor. I don't even know what I'm about to curse right now, man. I'm getting so fucking mad about this shit. It's like, dude, who the fuck is this guy? This guy is like, okay, all right. So, okay, there's so much to get through. We will get to this in a second because I'm getting
Bash
ramped up right now.
You're good, man.
Bash, let's get your thoughts.
What you think, bro?
I rock with Sabo, man. I think he is the true Flame Emperor. I'm glad he's inheriting the will of Ace. And I wonder if a piece of me is wondering if Ace's soul is living on through Sabo. I think that would be dope through his devil fruit, because we do see that in some Zoan type devil fruits where there's like a little bit of their soul living on through him. So I think that would be dope. I love his character design. I love how he's a spy. I love how he infiltrates Emu and gets all that information. And miraculously was able to escape, which was crazy to me. But he's like a cool 007 blonde, British looking Sherlock Holmes type of character. I don't know. I like that he's Luffy's brother, not by blood, but just they came up together, man. They grew up together. So it's cool to see that, and his connection to the revolutionary army is also dope. I also wonder if Sabo, being of royalty in his bloodline, what if it's more than just some random celestial dragon that he's connected to? Like, what if he's the heir, and what if he's
sad Debo?
What if he's connected to like Gorsei or the Emu in some crazy way, and he's the spark or the catalyst that kicks off the war and starts dragon?
Well, now you're biting off of Shanks, bro. He's biting off everybody, bro. It's enough with this guy. Enough with this guy, bro.
Completely separate.
He's like trying to call Roger dad at this point, bro. It's like, dude, come on, bro. Come on, bro.
Nah, Sabo's dope, man. I love Sabo.
Sabo is an interesting character. I mean, like, he's interesting enough. Like, I get your point. Like, I would be lying if I said I.
Not yet. You don't.
Well, I just slightly, in the sense of like, there's a somewhat of a hollowness to his character, I think, and I think that recognizing that hollowness is what makes it hard to really appreciate Sabo fully as a character, right? In all of the weight that is being or just kind of thrown onto him, like he's carrying a lot of weight in this end game, and I think that from the general sense, we just don't feel like we've had enough of a relationship build up with him as a character.
That's because Oda just fucking made him up and threw him in the story. Yeah, he's fucking stupid, bro. He's got amnesia, really? Okay, we gotta get into the plot holes. Because I don't want to get too much. I don't want to get too much, because we'll get to this, but I don't want to get too much into like the character analysis of like, is Sabo cool or whatever? Like, what is his role in the story? I want to get into, did Oda pussy out by making him? And I think the answer is yes. Oda has had a historic problem of like killing off characters or doing these death fake outs and then like not committing to them. And sometimes he does, right? For instance, in Wano, he kills Ashura Doji, he kills Izo, he kills Yasue, right? He kills some characters, right? Sure, whatever. Even though he didn't kill Big Mom or Kaido, or just kind of left that to question mark. But whatever. The point being is like, Oda has a reticence to killing off particularly like well-regarded characters. You saw this in pre-time skip with Pell, like famously, flies the bomb into the sky, and then literally we see him get vaporized, and it's so sad. And then like he just like walks it off at the end of the arc. Literally, he's like with a crutch, like walking off, and it's fine. So that's dumb. And I'm not gonna go through all of these, but like we all know there are plenty of examples where like Bon Clay was supposed to die, and it was like this great send-off, like him really actually sacrificing himself, staring down an opponent that he 100% cannot defeat, has no hope of defeating, but like bought basically Luffy and these kind of like found family members, right, time to escape and to like carry on. It's kind of like that scene in Attack on Titan, right, where like I think it's what's the guy's name?
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil it, but like Yes, the captain
I was about
basically leads the charge, and then such and such happens or whatever. But the point
Yeah.
being is like, it is one of those kind of things
Oh,
where
I know what
these
you're talking
moments of death have meaning when they are final, right? They really
Yeah.
do. And I feel like Oda had that moment, like the biggest thing he's ever done. And I will say this, he didn't take back Whitebeard's death, even though he created a son that doesn't really matter. But he has these big moments where it's like, the reason why Marineford is regarded as like the best arc in One Piece, maybe beyond the best fight, obviously Enos Lobby, is because it had stakes. Is because people lost limbs, people lost their lives. Ace died, Whitebeard died, Oars Jr. lost a limb, Jozu lost a limb. We don't even know what happened to Jozu, but like,
Kuzan.
yeah,
lost
it's
a
like,
limb.
yeah, Kuzan lost a limb at the end of the little battle they had on Punk Hazard with Akainu. It had real stakes to it. There were actual real changes in the world that happened as a result of people losing fights, people losing against like bad matchups or whatever it was. In the case of Ace,
Eighth. Okay, Mike Tyson.
I know, right? Get a little tongue tied. But like in the case of Ace, his death broke the fandom. If you didn't get spoiled and you saw that, you were just like, I don't even know if I want to keep reading this series anymore because I'm just so heartbroken.
Yeah.
Like you felt like Luffy
Heartbreak.
did when his like eyes rolled back in his head.
Yeah.
But then like literally, and it's kind of unfortunate because before Ace dies, and I will give this to the fans who think like, oh, Oda had this planned. We don't know how much Oda had planned. I'm not going to assume that Oda had like basically Sabo is going to replace Ace, but I do think Sabo was in the works. I do. Oda has retroactively, and I think Oda kind of cheats on this, but like Ace's tattoo, the ASCE with the S crossed out. Before there was like kind of the idea that, oh, the tattoo artist messed up. It's kind of like an in-world joke in One Piece, so they put C instead. They spelled Ace with an S, and then they put the C and then they just spelled it correctly, but they left that there, right?
Right.
Oda went
Like
on
kids
and
or-
yeah, Oda went on and like some again. I hate this like retroactive shit, but Oda went on in like an SBS and was like, or a data book and was like, no, that's actually basically to remark on Ace. It's like, okay, well, let me guess. It's or sorry, not Ace, on Sabo, and it's like, okay, well, I mean, are you saying that now because you just created Sabo? You know what I mean? So it's like that to me is annoying. But there is a moment in Marineford before Ace dies where Luffy's basically saying like, nah, I have to say he's my brother. Like, you know, we're sake brothers or whatever. And you see like and I'll put it on the screen. You see like the lip of like a third cup. And again, like I mentioned this before, you have like 3 drop sound effects, right? To kind of emphasize that there's 3 cups here. You can make the argument that Oda had the idea that there was a third brother. You cannot make the argument that Oda knew that other brother would survive, replace Ace, and then inherit his devil fruit. That is a jump in logic. Like, we can still have the backstory in which Sabo dies, right? Or dies. But to assume that, oh, like, Oda always had planned that, you know, basically an immediate replacement for Ace would just come on down the line. I think that's a stretch. And the problems that it creates, and we're just going to get into plot holes real quick. The problems that it creates is, okay, Sabo survives. He makes it to adulthood. He's like the same age as Ace, right? Why did he not know about Luffy? Okay, so they explain it. It's unfortunately like one of the hackiest parts of writing ever. But it's like, oh, he's got amnesia. This is why I say Oda did not have this planned, because this is terrible. He had amnesia. He got hurt. He had amnesia. He didn't remember until he sees this newspaper. And then he like is ripping out his hair and he's like, like I'm just so crazy, like depressed and sad or whatever, right? But here's the problems that creates. Ace, who follows, well, he's like a first commander of the Whitebeard Pirates or like second commander or something like that, being groomed to be like the next Pirate King by Whitebeard, like unbeknownst to him. He pays attention to the news. He like follows Luffy's bounties. He like understands what's going on in the world. He like finds Shanks. Like Ace is one of the most traveled people that we've ever met as far as like a pirate. He just goes wherever he wants to go, right? Like Solo, he's got that like cool rocket ship kind of like sailboat or whatever that he has. He's just doing his own thing. The idea that he wouldn't know who like the like first commander of the revolutionary like army is insane. Like he would know. Like that's just crazy. But let's say that he didn't know, right? Let's say he's just not paying attention. Garp. Does Garp not know? Like Sabo has this like wanted like bounty poster. How would Garp not know? Why would Garp not tell Luffy? Don or whatever. Don, whatever.
Don don don.
I'm having a stroke right now. But like Don is also following the news of like Luffy and would know, obviously she knows Sabo. She would know what's going on. She would know that he's still alive and she'd probably tell Luffy. And then on top of that, I'm not even done. On top of that, and I'll let you guys get in. Robin. Robin goes to the Revolutionary Army during the time skip. She's there for 2 years. She's there around Dragon. She's there around Sabo. Like, and then she comes back to Luffy as if like, hey, what's up? Like, it's like, I'm not even going to tell you that I met Sabo. Like, it's not even brought up. So it's just like, dude, it's like, it creates so many issues. It's like, why wouldn't she tell him? She knows that that's important. Let's say that Sabo's like, don't tell him, right? It's still one of those things where like, you're still banking on the fact that Ace wouldn't know or recognize or know that Sabo's alive, and then Garp wouldn't know, and that nobody would tell Luffy, just so that you get this moment in Dressrosa where you see Sabo.
Yeah, I mean, to that regard, I could see Sabo saying something like, "Oh yeah, it was just my brother, my brother, my brother, my brother," but never actually saying Luffy's name, right? And her just having this anamorphic—I don't even know if that's the right word—like some ambiguous figure, right, in her mind of who this brother is, but just kind of involved in Sabo's life, but not enough to pry to make that connection that, oh, this brother that he has been talking about all this time was actually Luffy, you know?
Well, the cruel
so
aspect
I don't
of
know
that, though,
if he would have any.
well, the cruel aspect of that, though, is like, okay, let's remember, why is Sabo at Dressrosa? He's there for the Mera no Mi.
Yeah.
He's not there to beat Luffy. He's really not.
Yeah.
Like, I think he thought he might see Luffy there, but it's like he didn't know that Luffy was going to be there.
I believe
he's
he was
there
on
to
a
make.
mission.
Yeah, he's there to make sure that the Mera no Mi doesn't fall in anybody's hand. So it's like, dude, when were you going to reveal yourself to Luffy? Because, like, here's the thing. He gets his memories back after Ace dies. So now he's, remembers Luffy, all this kind of stuff. He would know Luffy is basically the leader of the Straw Hat Pirates. He would know that Nico Robin is a member of the Straw Hat Pirates. Like, again, like, assuming that he doesn't know when he's going to see Luffy again, why wouldn't you tell Nico Robin, like, give Luffy this as my beaver card. Tell him I'm alive. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of
like
crazy.
we said, he's too similar to Shanks. He has a thing for the dramatics. Maybe
Similar to Shanks.
if you think about how Shanks move in the world, he'd be like, oh yeah, I can see Luffy. Nah, I'm not gonna do that. I'll see him next. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Sabo's probably making some of those same decisions.
But at least
where
Luffy
he's, like,
knows that Shanks is
moving through the
alive,
world.
bro. I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
like, I think it's just kind of cruel.
Sabo's
I mean,
like,
but-
get around to him.
But that's the thing. It's like, we're talking about why didn't the characters do this? And it's like, well, we know why. It's because Oda created Sabo because he probably regretted killing Ace and like wanted to have some kind of replacement. And I'll be honest, he ain't no Ace. He's not as cool as Ace. He's not as interesting as Ace. The character design is not the same. Ace's character design is like amazing. Like it's just dope as hell. Sabo's is fine, but like I just feel like it's kind of the Kobe effect where we're like getting all this like accelerated hype out of nowhere where it's like, oh no, Kobe's actually raw as hell. Like Kobe uses Odyssey Impact and like no, but it's like I mean,
Yeah, Kobe got way more off-screen love,
dude.
and power up though.
If you
than
look,
Sabo, I think.
if you look at Sabo's
off
feats,
screen, yes.
Sabo's feats are
Because-
insane,
yeah.
by the way.
Sabo's feats on
Sabo's
paper
feats are
are
crazy.
insane, and we have also seen him do some pretty insane things. But I think that we give him a little bit more weight in our mind because we saw the moment when he got the Mero no Mi and then was able to take its power, right? And so we are attributing that towards some of that on-screen time. But in reality, that's a small flicker of the broad expanse of Sabo as a character and seeing him, his power develop. We've literally captured the most of his journey through off-screen moments and tales of his endeavors. Very similar to Kobe in that.
I don't like how he's being kind of set up to be like, because if you look at that snapshot, and I'll put it on the screen, if you look at that snapshot where like Vegapunk is giving his little famous speech and he's basically saying like the person who finds the One Piece will be able to change the world, and it shows all these different characters. It's like Luffy, Blackbeard, Akainu, like Sabo for whatever reason, like Aokiji, like a whole bunch of like who's who or whatever. Kobe's on there, and I'm thinking in my head like, why the hell is Sabo on here as if he's like distinct from the revolutionary like pirates, or sorry, not pirates, the army? That kind of annoyed me a little bit, but like I don't know, to be honest, dude, it's just one of those things where like, if you look at the feats of Sabo, and like I didn't realize this when I was like first doing the research, but Sabo's feats are insane. Let's just go through them. Sabo gets introduced in Dressrosa, right? As far as like his current present day form, not a flashback, but like the present day Sabo, he gets introduced in Dressrosa, right? He meets Luffy. Luffy like basically starts bawling his eyes. It's, oh my god, I can't believe you're still alive, whatever, right? And he replaces Luffy in the Coliseum, and he immediately is going against Jesus Burgos, right, or Burgess, and this is at a time where, although he didn't get the Oda box revealing his Devil Fruit, he had a Devil Fruit at that point. He had like the Strength Fruit or whatever, right? He
Did
basically
we
had
know
super
that
strength.
for sure though?
I think so. I think he. I gotta
It
look
was
back.
after that.
I gotta look back. He's already
I
pretty
think
strong.
it was confirmed he did have the.
I'll look it up just because I want to see if he falls in the water, because I know he was avoiding it, but I don't remember if he's like. There's a scene where he's holding onto the like a raft or something like that, but I don't think it was this. I think it was when they get shipwrecked around like Skypia, but I'll look it up. But anyways,
Right.
let's just say like
That-
it. He either has it or he doesn't, but either way, he's crazy strong, right? Sabo in this moment with no Devil Fruit basically like finesses him, like goes toe to toe. He does his little elbow attack or whatever that like has like the little gauntlet kind of
Haki.
shield on it or whatever, and he just does a little dragon strike and like clashes with him, and then like basically like blows him away, and then he jumps and then takes the Mirror no Mi, and then it's fine, right? So
He
the
does
fact,
implement his hockey though, and he puts it into his.
yeah, he
weapon
does.
or
He
whatever.
puts it into his fist, but like so did Jesus Burgess, right? Like they were both using hockey,
Yeah.
but like Sabo is just so crazy strong, he's just able to just knock out one of the top commanders of the Blackbeard Pirates like in a single hit. Like, so that's one, because that's like the pre-round, because they fight again, right? But we're gonna get to Sabo gets the Mirror no Mi, basically masters it immediately, right? Is able to do like every single attack like Ace is doing. He can fly, which I don't think we ever saw Ace do. I'll have to look it up, but like I don't think we ever saw Ace fly, but whatever. Then he has a moment where he goes toe to toe with Fujitora. This is an admiral, by the way. Like, like Luffy didn't do that until he had unlocked basically Gear 5th, awakened his Devil Fruit, and then he went against Kizaru, right? And maybe you can make the argument, oh, okay, well, Kizaru's a Logia, maybe he's inherently more powerful than Fujitora, whatever. The point being is like Fujitora is like a giant gravity using swordsman that is like strong as hell, was able to just like bat away Zoro, like had no issue against like Law's crazy broken Devil Fruit, had no issue against Doflamingo. Like this dude is like still pretty strong, right? This dude is going toe to toe with Fujitora, Sabo is, which is crazy. And I know it's like a brief skirmish, they don't really go all out, but the point being is like they are at least presented to be for that moment evenly matched, which is insane. You're basically implying that he is like sort of kind of on par, plus or minus, as an admiral at that point in time, which is nuts.
So the way that I remember these moments, right? But the way that I've always looked at it as, you know, it's like the moment where the Straw Hats were strong enough and strategic enough to get away from Big Mom, right? Like there are clashes that need to happen that are defensive, right? But aren't meant to be prolonged. And so I think that we have seen many moments with the revolutionaries where we have these clashes that might aggrandize our view of their power, right? But in actuality, I think if it was a prolonged fight, we would actually start to see a tip in the balance of that scale, right? And so, like, I don't really think that Sabo can go toe to toe with Fujitora for the duration, right? Like if they were to have drug that fight out, it's not like I was imagining him being strong enough to do that, to take him down completely. But I do think
it's more strategic.
yes,
fighting.
exactly.
Yeah.
I do think those moments were a representation of him having to clash in very strategic or necessary moments, right? In order to advance or get to that next position.
I'm going to play devil's advocate as well, in the sense of, in that fight, Fujitora basically says, listen, dude, I'm not even against you. Like, the Marines can't be the heroes here. Like, we allowed basically Doflamingo to come and just kind of like wreck shop. So like we can't, I mean, I don't know. I don't really understand the logic behind that, other than he's trying to kind of make the Chichibukai system look bad. But basically he's like, I'm going to leave this to you guys and I'm going to back off, right? I'm going to help you guys, but you guys are going to be the heroes here. So I think there's a headcanon-y way of explaining like Fujitora is clearly not going all out, and is not trying to
Right.
go for like the one shot. So maybe he's just like kind of holding his own. I mean, I think maybe there's an argument there, but either way, it's still a very impressive showing for a member of the Revolutionary Army who is trained in combat, who just got a devil fruit, to like not be just immediately one shotted as he tries to attack an admiral. So I think that alone is a feat. And then obviously you have his fight in that arc with Jesus Burgos, who now he's like fighting him straight up. This is the moment where Jesus Burgos is like trying to attack and kill Luffy because Luffy has expended his energy from using Gear 4 thing instead of Flamingo. He's like hurt. Jesus Burgo comes up with the dagger. He's like, dude, I'm just going to kill you now and just kind of like, kill steal. And I'm going to get your devil fruit. And then basically Sabo comes and just like attacks him immediately. That's when you get that very stupid panel, which I'm going to put up, where like Sabo's like, I know that you basically took Ace down, but that was Ace's choice, but I'm not going to let you take out Luffy. It's like, dude, that doesn't make any sense. He's like, I don't hold that against you. It's like, okay, so is Luffy not making choices? Like, why are you protecting Luffy in this particular case? If it's just like, everybody makes their own choices, they have to kind of live and die by the sword. Where is Luffy's agency in this? He's like that's just stupid as hell. And again, it's just like, well, I don't
He's just
bothered
protecting
me.
his brother, dog.
No, I don't have an issue with him protecting his brother.
Maybe it's
my
just a
issue is like,
euphemism that can't be properly translated into English.
Yeah, I just
right. Maybe it's that.
Yeah,
that whole like,
could be it.
like I'm not gonna blame you for
translate
Ace's death. It's like, why not? You should 100% blame them for Ace's death. They literally beat him down and then threw him in like an execution platform. And then we're gonna do the same thing to Luffy. So it's like, they're not good people. Like, you should actually hate the Blackbeard Pirates. Like, they're terrible people. Like, that was just I don't hold anything against you, but it's like, dude, like, you suck, Sabo.
But the Blackbeard Pirates didn't kill Ace.
I mean, they didn't, but they like handed him over to the world government to be executed. And they were, I mean, again, they were gonna do the same thing to Luffy. They were like,
basically.
It's easy to forget. The Blackbeard Pirates actually asked Ace. They were like, dude, you should join us. Like, you're raw. Like, we know you're powerful. Like, specifically Blackbeard is saying this to Ace. He's like, dude, I want you to join us. Like, come on, like join the team. And Ace is like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, get the hell out of here. And he's like, okay, well, whatever. I'll just go after Luffy. And he's like, that's my brother. Like, now I'm definitely not gonna let you get away with this.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, Sabo obviously like handles Jesus Burgos with like no issues whatsoever, right? And again, this is like a top commander of the Blackbeard Pirates, like at the very least, like probably top 3. I'll have to look at the numbers again. I think he's like, man, he's got to be like 2 or 3, literally.
He's up there.
Yeah, I don't know who would be ahead of him now that I'm thinking about it. He's
Van Auger, maybe.
Yeah, I don't
Van
think
Auger
so.
Raw, bro.
He is, but like
his power is.
I'm trying to think, like, because they have it ranked like, second Titanic captain. That's what they call them. But like, I want to say Jesus Burgos is like
moves
2 or 3. Like, somebody look it up. Just look it up. I'm gonna keep talking, but like, I kind of want to get this right. But anyway, super strong, and it's just one of those kind of things where I'm like, the introduction of Sabo, I think. I mean, it's fine. Oda's working him into the story in a unique way. In a way, particularly because he's aligned with the Revolutionary Army, that you wouldn't be able to necessarily do with Ace. Like, if Ace survived, what would his story be? What, to compete for the One Piece, right? Like, it is kind of hard to surmise what is the long-term vision for an Ace storyline other than to just quit being a pirate. You get what I'm saying? Because he never really wanted to be the Pirate King. I mean, obviously, that's for Oda to figure out, but like, I don't know. I just feel like Oda regretted killing off Ace. I think he really loved that character. I think that's why Ace is very similar. I'm sorry, Sabo is very similar to Ace. Like, even the whole, like, that's my little brother. It's like, it just doesn't feel as... It's just, I said this a lot, but it's like Sabo wasn't in the gym shooting with Luffy. He hadn't been around. So, like, all this, like, I'm now your protector. It's kind of like, dude, you haven't seen this dude in, like, what, like 15 years, like 10 years?
But that's
You know what I
just
mean?
that's the sentiment of the protection of brotherhood, right? And
Still
so
brotherhood.
yeah, it's just
nonetheless,
brotherhood nonetheless, regardless of how much time was spent. He probably holds that sentiment near and dear. And
Yeah,
if
but
that was the case, he
even
pops up. He doesn't know what Luffy is capable of at this time.
even
So
the way
he's
that
just gonna make the
flashback,
presumption that I have power in this moment.
yeah,
I can be of assistance to him, and
mm,
I'm going to make sure that whatever the case is, in my
mm,
presence, he's protected, right? I think that's a
yeah.
very brotherly thing to
I
do.
mean, I feel that. I guess it's like, if you go back and look at that flashback of like Ace as a child, Luffy as a child, Sabo as a child, I mean, it is clear that the focus is on like establishing the connection between Ace and Luffy. Ace is the first person there. Luffy finds him. They end up, kind of meeting and kind of interacting with Sabo because Sabo's like sort of like a friend of Ace's, and then kind of joins the crew. Sabo doesn't even really look at Luffy like that. As like he's like, who's this guy? Who's a little kid, right? Like it's really kind of a Sabo and Ace kind of thing. I guess I just wish that like if Oda really was planning to really instill this like strong brotherly connection, I think his focus in that moment was to establish that with Ace and Luffy, right? And Sabo is like a part of it. But like I feel like if you're gonna rest the story on this like super strong bond to some degree between like Sabo and Luffy, I think you needed to do a little bit more work in that backstory, or at least give us some more, right? Where like it is Sabo specifically looking after Luffy, or like them having moments together. If you look back at that arc again, there's really not that many like Sabo Luffy moments, just those two that are like warm and heartwarming or whatever, which makes this like forced big brother role like, I mean, I don't know, I've already said it, but like a little bit more forced.
Yeah, I mean, just to backtrack a little bit.
Sure.
I don't know how accurate this is, but Burgess is at 5.
Really?
I'm seeing
Shiryu of the
4 or
Rain,
5.
Kuzan. I don't know if you can put Kuzan up there because he's a newer member. Van Augur at 4.
But
Yeah.
that's the way that they rank the Titanic captains.
I'm seeing shifting between those numbers, but it's
Ah.
basically that. Like I see Shiryu
4
at
or
3
5.
on one, Burgess at 4 on another one, Van Augur at 5 on one,
Is there a
and then on
two?
another one I see Shiryu or Kuzan is what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
what
like
he's
a
saying.
power
Alternate.
scaling though, or is that like
Yeah, that's
the
like power
Power
scaling,
scaling.
like,
oh
but to the
well,
point of like their actual formation,
yes,
it's
that's what I'm
like the
looking for.
it's like the Whitebeard pirates, right?
Yes.
Where like each of them are their own captains of another fleet within the Blackbeard pirates.
Yeah,
So
but that's what I'm
technically
saying.
they're
Like, I think the
all
first commander of the
substantial.
Whitebeard pirates, like,
Yeah.
I think that was like a specific rank, like, because I don't know if it's like the
Jesus
Gote
Burgess.
like I don't think it's like the Gote 13 kind of thing where it's like,
Jesus Burgess is
no,
the captain of the first ship.
he's the captain of the first ship. So I don't know. I mean, I guess he would probably be the closest to like a first mate. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I don't really know what his position is.
Yeah, I mean he been with Blackbeard for a little minute now.
Yeah,
Could be
Like
like
he might
his
be like the
Zoro.
because the
equivalent of like
first
a
ship I think
Jinbei on the
would be
Straw
like the top
Hats.
position, right?
Kuzan's like a Jinbei.
Yeah.
Kuzan?
Kuzan is the Jinbei of the Blackbeards.
You think so?
Jesus
Yeah.
Burgess is probably the Zoro.
I mean, okay,
Really?
well, let's just assume he's like, at the very least, like one of the top members, right? But for Sabo at that point in time to take down a top member, I mean, either one, it makes the Blackbeard Pirates look very weak, and again, I'm going to check and make sure that he had the strong fruit at that time, or if he didn't, it's kind of hard to tell because he's always been strong. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a hell of a feat. So yeah, I mean, the way that I look at it is like Oda. Oda has sort of gotten better at committing to death. I think the issue is that his deaths that he does commit to are basically not that impactful. Who cares if
Lower stakes.
Ashura Doji dies? Who cares if
Kind of care.
Yasue, who we met
Pedro.
within an arc? Pedro was kind
Yeah.
of sad, but the reason why Pedro was sad is because Pedro carried over from a previous arc, right?
What
Pedro
about
started
Izo?
off being introduced in Zou, then came with us to Whole Cake Island, right? I think in the case of like Yasue, it's like we just meet him in Wano. Who cares if he dies? Ashura Doji, we meet him in Wano.
Jeez.
Who cares if he? I mean, I'm just being real. Who cares if he dies? Izo, we met, but like we didn't really
Fire,
know.
he
They didn't
held
really
it
kind of
down.
travel with us, and then they just died, so it's fine.
Held it down. Died for the cause.
Yeah, but it seems like kind of surprising because like Izo didn't have like
Yeah.
a crazy death scene. It was just like people get shot all the time and
Yeah.
like they're fine. And like Izo dies. It's like what the hell was that?
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyways,
Yeah.
yeah. So
I mean,
Unfortunately.
if I had any concluding thoughts on the whole Sabo as a character, and I think Killer Cam makes some valid points regarding the plot holes
Yeah.
with Sabo as a character, but I think a lot of those holes are blank spaces that Oda could fill later if he needs to. Just kind of like how we're getting all these flashbacks right now in the current chapters that we're in. I mean, we could get some flashbacks in the future regarding Sabo.
Yeah.
And Oda does like to retrofit backstories as they become relevant. So the end game
Yeah.
could give us some more answers,
Yeah.
questions answered surrounding that. And I do think Sabo is a necessary character. It does seem like he was thrown in there and made up, but he does fill that third brother void after Ace's death. He could carry on Ace's will through the Marimari no Mi, and he also is that connection to the Revolutionary Army, um, to to also connect Luffy's personal life to the Revolutionary Army. So I think because of those aspects, he's a very necessary character. Um, and yeah, that pretty much wraps it up for me as far as like my concluding thoughts on Sabo.
Yeah. I agree. I believe that um, Sabo is well enough positioned for Oda. I think that there are a couple of characters that Oda has positioned to be. Um, it's think of it like the All Star team, right? Like if you're composing like the All Star basketball, team. Out of all of these different players or groups or teams that you can choose from, which pieces are you going to have for this final masterpiece, right?
Mm.
I think Sabo is positioned to be a part of that image because, as we have witnessed up until this point, unfortunately, all of the Straw Hats they can't show up in the ways that we need them to in these final battles. Like
Correct.
there
You
is
ain't lying,
no
bro.
possible way, like unless we see light years of work put into Usopp, Nami, Chopper, like most of them, right? There's
Hmm.
no way we can see them fending off some of these bigger challenges in this later, the final arc. And these characters, Sabo, Dragon, Kobe, these are key players. Loki,
Right.
right? Key power players that will then become a part of that all-star team at the end in those end games where I think that it's going to, really shine. I think that's going to be the moment where we understand why Sabo has value. Right now, it's just uh Oda doing, I think, his due diligence to keep his relevance strung throughout the story as we get to that point.
Facts.
I mean, I agree. Unfortunately, the reason I say unfortunately is just because, like, I mean, effectively, what we're saying is the weaker members of the Straw Hats are going to continue to be minimized. I mean, effectively,
They couldn't even fight Gunko.
yeah.
They
Right.
got bodied by Gunko,
Which
the
is sad.
Luffy.
I
So
mean, I don't know. I don't really know. And maybe Oda's just gonna flip this on my head, and I'm gonna be like, dude, that was crazy. I don't know how you did that in the sense of like their matchups with the Blackbeard Pirates. But I'm just figuring. I'm like, why would you neglect your core characters so much? Right? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's like so much of the interest in the intrigue and the development is like centered around Luffy, of course, Zoro, Sanji. Nami gets her little updates or upgrades or whatever, right? Usopp sorta had his biggest moment in Dressrosa and then more or less disappeared after that for forever. I don't know. I mean, Brooke is getting a little bit of backstory, which is interesting, but like I feel like we just started into it and then cut it immediately.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I mean, like I said, Jinbei didn't even have a party, so it's like I don't know. It's just one of those things where like if we're gonna do the Straw Hats don't need to be individually strong. I need to see them work better as a team. Like when they were able to like put out that fire, and then when they were like kind of going, sort of like a group battle with Gunko, I thought that was interesting. Even if they couldn't defeat her, I mean, obviously she's
Yeah.
immortal, but yeah, if we're gonna do that, let's just do some group activities. Because if we're just gonna basically like introduce new characters that are stronger and just start them off where they need to be, and then basically use them to like sideline the Straw Hats, it's just going to be a little disappointing. I mean, this whole thing was supposed to be about following a dream, going through an adventure together. And we're now at this point where it's like, no, it's about fights and these people are weak and they don't have anything to contribute. So sucks for that. You know what I mean? I'm just like, ugh, I don't
I
know.
mean, that's the backbone of shonens, most popular action adventure shonens. The fights end up being a crux of the plot, where it's like
Mm,
it has to have some fiber, some density. The bone density of the entire story is
mm,
going to settle on those fights. It's one of
yeah.
those
yeah.
realizations that I've had.
Unless you're Hunter x Hunter and it's just like
I
awesome.
mean, even with that, I mean, it's so well done. The thing with Hunter
Yeah.
x Hunter is that And this is what I was actually going to bring up earlier when Bash was commenting on it, because I had the realization that
Mm.
I think a part of why we don't feel as connected to Sabo and how powerful he is because we don't get the same kind of nuance in One Piece that we
Mm.
do in other stories, right? Like when we
Yeah.
watch Hunter x Hunter, we get nuance, right? We
Yes.
get nuance of the characters' power structures, how they work, the finesse that they might have in order to articulate their power in that way for the
Yeah.
given scenario, right? Like we don't see any of that. Like the fact that Sabo is made out of fire and he's doing this like detective type shit sneaking around, why don't we see him, fizzle through the wall as steam or something to that degree? Like
Yeah.
turn into something that gives us an understanding that he has a level of nuance to
Mm.
his power and his ability to use, those things that are bestowed upon him. And
Yeah.
it's not just him. We see that across the show. I think that more often than not, we just get like big flashy finisher move, but we don't get nuance. You see what I'm saying? Like we don't get the
Yeah.
nuance of
Well, I mean,
powers in
yeah, I
One
mean,
Piece.
unfortunately, I mean, and this is what's so great about Hunter x Hunter, not to like shit on One Piece, obviously we love it, but like the thing that works about Hunter x Hunter is every character is Sasuke. They're all super smart. They're all extremely strategic in their thinking. They're all thinking like, okay, they're also really smart and I'm smart and I need to counteract what the smartest thing that the smartest person will do and basically kind of, I don't know, like circumvent them in relation to like how I plan and how I, execute an attack or whatever it is.
Right.
And like, to be honest, the reason you don't see that very often is because it takes a very smart person to think like that. Like to be able to write a character who's very smart, you have to be very smart. So
Yeah,
shout out
that's
to I think it's Horikoshi. But yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, obviously
Oda,
one.
you're not dumb.
You're
This
not.
is I mean, it's a
Yeah,
fun
that was.
series. Obviously,
Killua is a badass.
Oda's kind of like written it where it's like just kind of fun, right? But
No. I understand like the arc of what he is painting is something completely different, right?
for
Like
sure, yeah.
One Piece is
The world
the
building is
king.
insane.
World building is the name of that game, and
Yeah,
the
Such a
fact that so much is going on. Sorry, I was like waving at the camera and it started
that's hilarious.
to.
It started zooming in.
Yeah. So the fact that that is his real canvas. That's the real thing that carries this story along. I think the challenge is there in him like having to dive down and give us these nuances that are really just fan cravings,
Mm.
right? Because these are the things that we have grown to desire out of anime and manga because of the contemporaries that were brought up around One Piece as well, right? Like if I think about how the story of One Piece might have unfolded if it was on its own, like in a vacuum, right? Like
Okay.
in the sentiment that Oda was never influenced by his peers or
Mm,
even with the like the moral fiber or the inspiration of Dragon Ball Z, right? Like which predicates the fighting, right? Like it kind of positions all of those things as a core aspect of the story, right? Like
Also, the
because I do
magazine
feel
he's
like
writing for has a standard, which is like we do shonen. This is how shonen's done. Like there are certain kind
right.
of strictures to it.
Yes, exactly. And so I wonder like how Oda would have been able to really focus in on the story and how he would have articulated the journey of One Piece without that as a like stipulation, right? Or
Mm.
like a hurdle that he had to overcome. I won't say that it was a hurdle, but more of a creative
A
limitation
format,
that
yeah,
could be a format
yeah.
that helps to structure how One Piece unfolded. And I think that with these fights, we're seeing him do his best to just give us what is intended for them to play out, but they are often very much plot driven and world building, right? Of
bro.
okay, how this is unfolding, why he's giving us these snapshots. And when I think about it, it really gives me honestly, for those who know, there's a show called Foundation on Apple TV, right?
Mm.
This show it covers like 1,000 years, like literally, like, and it's going through the motions. Like there is time that is really passing through this series,
Mm.
and because of that, the format and the structure and what you would expect of how plot unfolds, or the pieces of the story that you get to hold on to, right? Like it changes in a very nuanced way, and I think that Oda has that level of nuance and understanding of his own story. And I think that there are time scales that are dilating right now within our experience of One Piece why we are feeling a bit confused or perturbed by the pacing and what he is, showing us, right? Because I think what's happening is he's zooming out that camera lens while like it's a dolly zoom, I think it's, or some particular kind of technique. For those that know like cinematography, there's this technique where you zoom the camera in or out while also like changing the focal depth.
Mm.
It feels like that as we're looking at the story of One Piece, where we'll zoom out time wise, but then dial
Yeah.
further into the nuance of this particular moment. And I think that the reasoning is all attributing to this broader stroke of world building. And I think that that is masterful. That's something that Oda can do
Yes.
that no one else is really has been able to do in the way that Oda does. Just because he doesn't give us the nuance in the fightings and the power systems, like I can give him, I'm not giving him any flack for that. The fact that it is not the same as what we are trying to compare it to in this moment.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I definitely think post time skip. It's all about the world building. It's all about seeing other characters. I think pre time skip was like definitely condensed to the Straw Hats, what they're seeing, what they're experiencing. Maybe every now and then we'd flash to like Mary Joie and see what's going on within, the Reverie or Shichibukai or whatever, right? But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a broader story. I think there's pluses and minuses to that. Obviously, it makes the world a little bit more interesting, but at the same time, we lose a little bit of time with our main hero. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see what the next chapter and the continuation of this arc, which I feel like is going to be a long, long grind if we're on this 2-week schedule, which we probably will be for the foreseeable future. But who knows? That's all I got. It's Killer Cam, and let the rest of the crew say their goodbyes.
Wild and Free out.
Bash Ketchum. Good night.
Hey. Okay. All right. Until next time. We don't have a chapter next week, unfortunately. Mr. Wild and Free's camera is it's
right
dolly
now.
zooming right now. It's doing its thing.
Basically,
Yeah. So yeah, we'll
AI
we'll drop
camera.
some stuff, some fun kind of evergreen stuff, just some interesting topics, sort of like this one, next week, of course. Yeah, it's been real. All right, peace.